And
Okay, I'm going to start the recording though, because we do have some people who are traveling en route who will definitely be watching later. So we are going to have our recording up. For those of you who want to do, and I hope this wasn't too confusing. You will be seeing two Zoom invites. One is always for the Monday, our scheduled time. And this is the designated easier lesson day, as described in the catalog. The Wednesday is only for people who want to come on to do some harder stuff. And we're going to be starting with discussion of past tense. So you can say, I feel very beginner. I really just want to get comfortable with, easy stuff come Monday, or you can come Wednesday, or you can do both. I mean, you can do both.
Just don't make the test too hard on Wednesday.
Yeah. So, what Wednesday, just para que sepan, so that you guys know, if you choose to join on Wednesday, or if you choose to just watch later at your convenience, because I will record that as well and post it to YouTube. We are going to start Wednesday for people who really wanted that. Past tense was like the big thing that people were wondering about. Yeah. So we're going to start talking about past tense. This will take undoubtedly all summer and into fall. It is a big, heavy topic, but we're going to start with the really easy stuff. Because there is the bad news is there's very complicated stuff with Spanish and past tense, but the good news is that we will take the easy end of it first for starters this week on Wednesday. So if you need that link for Wednesday, if you so desire, and if you deleted it by mistake, whatever, and you decide that you want it, just email me and, no big deal. Okay. A ver, vamos a empezar. We're going to start. Vamos a empezar con fotos.
Sí.
Diana me mandó unas fotos. Diane sent me some photos, and I will let her tell you a little about this, and then we're going to show you actually the bigger. Yeah. Okay. Diana, because I don't know the whole story because you went to this park. I did not.
Cantini Park is the Robert McCormick estate, and it was donated to or bought by the city of Wheaton. So it's a lovely, lovely park that has a World War II museum, as well as grounds that are flowers galore, and the mansion itself. But for this summer, they have brought in this exhibit of alebrije. Am I saying that correctly?
Alebrijes. Alebrijes. I will show you what that's about after we see these photos, because this is a teachable moment and is worth a little sidebar. Yeah. Okay.
There are 6 Mexican artists who have produced 18 of these very large sculptures, and then there are others around the park which we have not seen yet. We only cruised the big 18, but this is very traditional folk art, and they're comprised of different kinds of animals that one would see in a dream. And
yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah.
There was not a lot of information about it, which was unfortunate. Now, I don't know if they're going to have talks later on in the summer, but they're fascinating. They're beautiful and all just different and weird in many ways.
They're weird. They're supposed to be weird. And I'll give you just a little sidebar for maybe 5 minutes to tell you about what these are about. Now, I am not sure if the material these are made out of is what is considered the traditional material. No sé, I do not know, but Okay, here's the short explanation. Alebrije. Alebrije is a term, alebrije, for this type of, yeah, you could say sculpture. They may be very little sculptures. They may be very big sculptures. Traditionally, they are either cartón, cardboard, or paper mache kind of things, usually paper mache.
These looked paper mache. They looked
Okay, they
paper
did.
mache.
Okay. I wondered about that because when I saw the size of it, I thought that would be a lot of work to do in paper mache. But okay, that is the traditional way those are made. Now, hopefully they've got a coating on that or they tarp it for the rain. Anyway, alebrijes are a thing. Alebrijes are actually kind of, in the big scheme of things, a recent art form. Really, 1930s is when it kind of, got the gears rolling. Alebrijes, if you want to see what an alebrije is, go to your favorite streaming thing. Well, I know Disney Plus, and pull up the movie Coco. The movie Coco is a movie that really revolves around Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead, the very first days of November in Mexican culture. And really, south of Mexico, especially Oaxaca and all that area. And there is a big, kind of, if you want to relate it to Harry Potter world, like a Patronus, there's a big figure that follows Coco around, and he's kind of a scary figure. So if you want to see what an alebrije looks like in, what a real alebrije would look like, check out the movie Coco, and you will see that he's got an alebrije there. But if you want to know a little bit about alebrije, and by the way, if you pull it up in something like wordreference.com, you will not get a hit for the word alebrije. Alebrijes are brightly colored Mexican folk art sculptures of fantastical creatures. The first alebrijes, along with the invention of the term. So it was a created word. It is not a traditional word. Originating with Mexico City, cartonero Pedro Linares. Cartonero is a folk artist, an artisan who creates figures out of carton paper mache. Pedro Linares, it was sometime last year, they actually devoted, how they do those little Google sketches every day to commemorate somebody famous or somebody who did something important. Sometime in the last couple years, I think it was within the last year, they did a Google thing on Pedro Linares. It was probably his birthday. And he really created this art form, or popularized it, perhaps we could say. And the story is that he had become very ill, and in a fever dream, these fantastical creatures came to him. And alebrijes are now, almost 100 years old. They're like 80, 90 years old since their invention. And, they'll typically be anything from really big sizes to really small sizes like that. So alebrije, and they can be that big. I've never seen them that big, but they are intended to be fantastical creatures, but they start out like this, alebrijes. They start out as paper mache figures. So, but they can get this big. They don't have to be that big. And they kind of do have a historical predecessor, which, bless me, I feel terrible. Is it Posada? There was a line artist who drew for newspapers and magazines back in the 1800s, who popularized similar type things, but they were more skeleton figures that evolved into the Catrina, the skeleton characters of Dia de Muertos. But alebrijes are these, they're just they are critters that are like an imagination that puts together body parts from different animals, and they're always very brightly colored. And you know, you want to see an alebrije in action, go to the movie Coco and check out the big flying alebrije that they have there. So alebrijes come in many different forms, and it is, you know, I don't think you see that outside of Mexico. I don't think other Latin American cultures have that the way that that you see it from Mexican art, but this has been carried on for the last, you know, 80 some, almost 90 years. So, yeah, see, there's your little cultural fix for the day. Alebrijes.
Gracias.
Alebrijes.
Beautiful.
Alebrijes.
Can Diane tell me the name of the park she went to and where is it?
Cantini, Cantigny, Cantini Park, and it's in Wheaton, Illinois.
Ah,
You pay a parking fee, $5 for a car during the week, and you can walk the grounds.
very cool. Thank you.
I did not know it was a part of the whole McCormick thing,
Yes,
the railroad guy who made a fortune.
and Chicago Tribune. The grandson started the Chicago Tribune.
Eso sí, that as well. Sí, eso es. So those are our little fun snippet for the day. Okay. Y gracias, Diana. Muchísimas gracias. What I'm going to do for the Monday sessions is we're just going to continue to do a lot of storytelling, noticing how verbs change, because in all these little stories, there'll be some little theme. I want to do kind of what I like to call a walkthrough. And what I mean by a walkthrough is I want to play parts of the video I had shown you for last week. And I'm going to turn the closed captions on. And I'm going to do kind of a little fast translation of the story, okay, that I had given to you to watch for last week. And it was called Carlitos Skip School. And the point of Carlitos, by the way, Carlitos, oh my gosh, has he been spying on the past of my son? Carlitos is exactly, Carlitos, so that you know, Carlitos is the center of many of the stories of this storyteller. And the point of the stories is to have you understand new words and how the vocabulary and the grammar comes together in a natural way to tell a story. Okay. So basically you're learning how all the words naturally fit together, but Carlitos is probably about 4 or 5 years old, and Carlitos is, oh my God, exactly like my kid used to be. Carlitos es un chico muy travieso. Carlitos is a very mischievous boy. So this had a number of little stem changing verbs, those I to IE verbs, O to UE verbs. But the point of the story is that instead of using like just gobs of the same verb, he mixes things up. So you'll get a new one for this coming week, which will have a little different focus. And with the upcoming homework video, which will again be about Carlitos, but a different story, I will be giving you some accompanying word chunks or word combinations for you to pay attention to. And these will be things that we'll kind of focus on throughout the summer here and there. And after our little walk through the video, we're going to do, I believe it'll be 3 little breakout sessions. 1 will be kind of short and 2 will be kind of medium length. So I'm going to do like a quick running translation so that if you missed anything with the video, you understand what happened with Carlitos skips school. And keep in mind, when you watch these, do turn on the CC box. I am showing it to you here. Do turn it on, but do be aware that it's an AI translation, and therefore it will not be 100% accurate. It's really about 85, 90%, but sometimes it hears language and doesn't print it out exactly right. Okay, here we go.
Carlitos no quiere ir
Carlitos
colegio.
doesn't want to go to
No.
school.
No, él no quiere.
He doesn't
Va a
want to.
buscar.
Oh, and Carlitos has got to be older than 5 because he does talk about colegio. Carlitos is probably about 7 or 8.
¿Cómo no ir?
He's going to
al
look for a
colegio?
way of not going to
¿Qué
school.
va a hacer?
What's he gonna do?
Carlitos, ¿Qué estás pensando?
What is he thinking? And oh, look, we got an estás pensando. What is he thinking right now?
Carlitos está en la cama.
And we've got an ing phrase. Carlitos está durmiendo. Carlitos is sleeping. He's in bed.
Y viene su mamá.
And his mom
Viene
comes over.
su madre. Carlitos,
She yells at him.
despierta, venga.
Despierta. You'll start to see, oh, look, here is a stem changer. Despierta. She says to him, hey, wake up.
Despiértate.
Wake up.
Ya es hora. Es hora
Ya es hora. It's time.
de levantarte.
Time to get up.
Es hora de salir de la cama.
Time to get out of bed.
Tienes que ir a
You-
la escuela.
You got to go to school.
Y Carlitos abre la boca.
Carlitos
hablar
opens
y-
his mouth. He's going to talk.
No puede hablar.
He can't talk.
Y le hace señas, le hace gestos
He makes faces.
que le
He
duele.
makes gestures.
Le duele la
Oh, que le
garganta.
duele. Here's another stem changer, an O-T-U-E stem changers. Le duele la garganta. His throat is causing pain to him. His throat hurts. His throat hurts him. Okay, when a body part hurts, it works kind of like that verb gustar. Okay, it's duele for one body part hurting, or duelen with an N at the end for like if both your hands hurt because you have arthritis, or both your eyes hurt, duelen. But la garganta es una cosa. So his throat hurts.
Le duele la cabeza.
His head
Sí.
hurts.
Y la mamá le dice,
Mom says to
"Bueno,
him,
si
okay,
hoy estás malo,
if you're feeling badly today,
estás enfermo,
if you're sick,
pues duerme.
well,
Duérmete,
sleep. Go to sleep.
quédate aquí en casa,
Stay here at home
y no vayas a la escuela.
and don't go to school.
Y Carlitos está pensando,
Carlitos was
"Yay".
thinking, it worked. Estaba pensando, he was thinking, and instead of he is thinking, está pensando, this word estaba makes it was thinking. Oh, estaba pensando, yay.
Bien. Ujú. Porque Carlitos, en verdad,
Because
no está
Carlitos
enfermo,
really
no está malo.
is not sick. He
La mamá-
isn't feeling badly.
Le pone el termómetro,
Mom
¿no? El termómetro
puts the
que
thermometer,
marca la temperatura, por ejemplo,
the thermometer measures or marks the
36
temperature.
grados centígrados.
And these are centigrades that he's giving. So these 30 and 36 are really getting up towards the close to the hundreds. 98.6 is the same for everybody, but they don't call it 98.6. Okay.
¿No? Tiene marcas
It has
de
marks,
temperatura para medir
temperature marks,
la
to
temperatura
measure, to measure the temperature,
del cuerpo, el
body
termómetro, ¿no?
temperature.
Y la mamá le pone el termómetro en la boca. Se lo pone
Mom puts the thermometer in his mouth,
no en la axila,
not in
sino
the
en la boca.
armpit, but rather in the
La
mouth.
mamá se va, sale de la habitación
And mom goes, she leaves the bedroom.
de la habitación de Carlitos. Y
Carlitos'
Carlitos
bedroom.
grita, bien, bien.
Carlitos yells, yeah, great.
No voy al cole.
I'm not going to the school. Oh, and colegio is often shortened to make it into a shorter word. Instead of colegio, cole is kind of slangish for school. Cole. We shorten
So-
colegio to cole.
I have a question, Marilyn, about
sí.
colegio. When I looked it up, it said college. So is it just basically any school? versus
Colegio?
escuela?
Colegio is not college at all. Colegio is a kid's school. Colegio can be for little kids. Sometimes they're more specific, like, sometimes they will call it la primaria. Primaria would be like grades 1, 2, 3 kind of age group, really young. Okay. Colegio is just an all-encompassing term for school, but it is not used for college. College is universidad. Okay.
Thank you.
So
How does that differ from escuela?
how does it differ from?
From escuela?
Oh, from escuela? Not by law. Escuela is more general. School. Colegio would be, colegio is typically used, middle-aged kids, middle school, high school, definitely used for high school, sometimes instituto. But escuela is, I would say, a more general term than colegio. Somewhat.
Coge el termómetro,
And he
Y lo
grabs the
acerca.
thermometer
lo pone junto a la lámpara,
and he puts it close to the lamp.
¿no? Pone el termómetro
He puts a
en la
thermometer
lámpara.
in
Y
the
el
lamp.
termómetro, claro, se calienta,
The
sube
thermometer gets
sube
hot
la temperatura.
and the temperature goes
Y
up.
cuando oye a su mamá,
When he hears his
coge el
mom,
termómetro,
and remember, coge is only used in Spain, so don't use that word in Mexico because it's a big F-bomb. But, people in Spain use coge. Coge is the same thing as grabs. Take something, grab it.
se lo pone en la boca
And
y
he
se
puts it in
acuesta,
his mouth and he
se
goes
acuesta
to
en la
bed.
cama. Su mamá viene,
His mom
Mira.
comes over.
mira el termómetro.
She looks at the thermometer.
Oh, 42.
Wow, 42.
42 grados.
So,
Carlitos.
he's in the 100 plus category.
Carlitos, tienes fiebre.
Wow, Carlitos,
Tienes
you have a
fiebre,
fever.
sí. Tienes fiebre, estás muy caliente.
You are really, wow, you're
fiebre.
burning up, boy.
Y Carlitos está pensando.
Carlitos
"Qué
is
bien,
thinking,
todo el día,
great.
todo el día de hoy en la cama.
Sorry about that, guys. It did a blip on us here. We'll have to get this back. Perdón. This is probably my Wi-Fi. Okay. You see all day sleeping, watching TV. So you see the ing word again, some more, durmiendo, mirando la tele. So he says, oh, I can spend the whole day. I can spend the whole day sleeping, watching TV.
Mirando la televisión, mirando la tele, ¿no? Jugando a videojuegos.
Playing video games.
Jugando a los videojuegos. Sí, qué bien. Entonces, Carlitos se levanta.
So
se levanta
Carlitos
y
gets up.
coge una tablet.
He
Tiene
grabs
una tablet.
a tablet.
Va a coger la tablet, pero su mamá lo ve.
Oh, but
y le
his
dice,
mom sees
Carlitos,
him.
no,
And
no.
she says to Carlitos, no.
Nada de videojuegos.
No video
Tú
games at
estás
all.
enfermo.
Nada de videojuegos means nothing of video games. So when somebody means none of that, when somebody says none of that to your kid or to a worker or to whoever, nada de videojuegos means none of those video games. You're sick.
Sí, tienes que descansar.
You have to
Tienes que
rest.
descansar. Ujú. Y se lleva a Carlitos
And
al
she
baño.
Takes
Van al
Carlitos
baño,
over to the
Tienen una
bathroom.
bañera.
They've got a
Y la
bathtub.
mamá de Carlitos lo mete en la bañera, pero Carlitos no quiere
Carlitos,
meterse en la
His
bañera,
mom puts
pero
him
lo
in the
mete.
bathtub, but
Ujú.
he doesn't want to
Y
get
mete
in the
agua
bathtub.
fría. Agua fría.
And,
Sí,
you know,
sí, para
it's
que
cold
baje,
water.
para que baje la fiebre.
To bring his fever
Para
down, to lower
bajar
his
la fiebre.
fever.
Y
He doesn't like this
Carlitos
cold water business,
tiene frío.
Carlitos. He's
Sí.
cold. He feels
Tiene
cold.
frío.
Tiene
Y
frío.
dice, mamá, estoy bien, ya estoy
He says,
bien.
Ma, I'm
No,
okay.
no, Carlitos, no.
She
La
says, no
madre
way.
saca a Carlitos de la bañera,
She takes
Lo saca.
Carlitos out of the bathtub.
lo envuelve,
She
lo
wraps him
envuelve
up,
bien en una toalla,
wraps him up
con una
nice and
toalla,
tight in a towel,
y otra vez lo manda a la cama.
and she sends him
Otra
off
vez
to
a la
bed.
cama a
Again,
descansar.
otra vez. To
Y
rest.
después viene Marina.
And afterwards,
viene
Marina comes over.
Marina es la hermana
Marina
pequeña
is
de Carlitos.
Carlitos' little
Marina
sister.
viene a su habitación.
She comes to
Marina
his bedroom
lleva una taza.
and
Lleva
she
una
brings
taza
a
de
cup.
chocolate
She's
caliente.
carrying, she's
Y
carrying a
Carlitos la
hot,
ve,
hot chocolate.
y le coge la taza de chocolate.
Oh, Carlitos sees it, meaning the cup. He sees it and he grabs the cup of
Le
chocolate.
roba
He,
la taza.
he takes it away from her. Robar is to rob, to take away. Le roba la taza. He takes the cup away from her. Yeah, he's not that sick.
Taza de chocolate. Ujú. Y la mamá lo ve
The
y
mom
le quita
sees it.
la taza a Carlitos.
She takes away
Carlitos,
the cup.
no, esta es para Marina.
No, this is for
está ya
Marina.
llorando. Estaba llorando.
Ah,
La
Marina is crying, and you see what is happening in real time in the story. While Mama is saying this, Marina's crying because her brother has taken away the hot chocolate.
mamá le da la taza de chocolate a
Mom
Marina.
gives her the cup of
Y
chocolate.
la mamá tiene otra taza.
Mom has another
una
cup,
taza aquí morada. Tiene otra taza
a little
para
purple cup.
Carlitos. Y mamá le da la taza
And this is for
a Carlitos.
Carlitos.
Y Carlitos.
Mom
Bien.
gives him, whenever you see le da means she gives to him or she gives to her. And here we know she's giving it to Carlitos. So le da la taza a Carlitos, she gives him the cup. And we're just being more specific with a Carlitos because we have both Marina and Carlitos with Mama. So le da with both Marina and Carlitos being there would not be specific enough. So le da la taza a Carlitos. She gives the second cup to Carlitos, to him.
Y empieza a beber.
And he
Pero
starts to
No
drink,
era
stem changer.
chocolate, no.
but it was
era
not
té.
chocolate.
Era té.
It was
Té
tea.
con limón.
Tea
Té
with
con
lemon.
limón. Sí. Sí. A Carlitos no le gusta, ¿eh?
Ah, Carlitos doesn't like that.
No le gusta el té con
He doesn't
limón.
like tea with
Y
lemon.
la mamá le dice,
Mom
Carlitos,
says to him, hey, Carlitos,
bébete el té.
drink tea.
Te tienes que tomar.
You have to
una
take this.
pastilla.
Oh, you
Tomar
have to
una
take a
aspirina.
pill,
No,
an
una pastilla.
aspirin.
No es un Lego, es medicina, ¿no?
It's
Para
medicine.
tomártela y luego sentirte mejor.
And later you'll feel better.
Y Carlitos se toma un poco de té,
Carlitos
se toma una
Takes a
aspirina
little
y
tea.
se duerme.
He takes the
Se
aspirin
duerme.
and he falls asleep.
Y después de un rato,
After a little
oye
while,
que tocan al timbre, tocan
he
a la puerta,
hears that,
Ting
oh, the
tong.
doorbell's ringing.
tocan al timbre, ting tong, de la puerta de la casa.
Timbre is your
Y-
doorbell.
Su mamá, la mamá y Marina salen, abren la puerta.
Mom and Marina go and they open the door.
Carlitos, como está él solo, va a buscar,
Carlitos is by
va a buscar
himself.
el
He goes
balón de
to
fútbol. Tiene una
he goes to
pelota, ¿no?
look
Un
for
balón.
his soccer ball.
Bueno, un balón, ¿no?
He's
Una
unhappy
pelota
with his drawing
de
of the
fútbol.
soccer ball.
La idea es buena, el balón de fútbol tiene hexágonos.
Oh,
Tiene
yeah, it's
hexágonos
got
y
hexagons.
después tiene pentágonos, así, un poco así, ¿no?
Oh, he's talking about the
Pero
shapes
sí,
in
pero no ha
the
quedado bien. Quizá,
soccer ball
espera,
design.
no sé cómo hacerlo. Bueno, da igual, no pasa nada. Un balón de fútbol. Y entra Quique, viene Quique.
Kike comes in case you're wondering what Kike means. Kike is a nickname. Kike is a nickname for Enrique. Enrique, Henry, is often shortened to the nickname of Kike. Enrique. Kike. Okay.
Quique es el amigo. El amigo.
Kike is Carlitos' buddy.
Quique era el que había llamado al timbre.
Kike
Había
was the
llamado a la
guy ringing the
puerta.
doorbell.
Sí. Y Quique le pregunta,
Kike asks him, le pregunta, he
Carlitos,
asks him,
¿por
hey,
qué?
Carlitos,
¿por qué hoy no has venido a la
why
escuela?
haven't you come to school
¿Es que
today?
estás malo? ¿Estás
Are you
enfermo?
ill? You sick?
Y Carlitos le dice,
Carlitos says to him,
es que hoy
no,
yo no quería
I just
ir a la
didn't want,
escuela.
I just didn't want to go to school.
Entonces Carlitos
Carlitos
coge la pelota
grabs
de
the
fútbol
ball
y la chuta.
and
Chuta. Sí.
he kicks
Y
it.
justo entra mamá,
And
entra
just then
su
mom
madre,
comes in
y la pelota le da en la cara. Le da
and
en la cara
the
a
ball
su
hits
madre.
mom in the face.
Carlitos, ahora no es momento de jugar a
Now
fútbol.
is not the
No
time
juegues a
to
fútbol ahora.
play
Vete a
soccer.
dormir, a la cama.
Go back to bed. No
Entonces,
playing football.
Quique
No playing soccer. Go back to
Dice,
bed.
entonces hoy Carlitos no puede venir a jugar a fútbol.
Oh, Carlitos cannot
Y
come play
La
football.
mamá le dice, no, por supuesto que
Of
no.
course
hoy
not, she
no".
says.
Entonces,
Not today.
Carlitos dice la verdad. Dice,
Carlos tells her
mamá,
the truth.
yo he mentido.
I
He
have
dicho una mentira.
lied.
Yo no quería ir al
I
colegio.
didn't want to go to school.
Yo no estoy enfermo.
I'm not
No estoy
sick.
malo. Yo me siento bien.
I feel
Y
great.
entonces
Me siento
la
bien.
mamá le dice,
Mom says to
"Vaya,
him,
pues
"Ha,
entonces
yeah,
no vas a ir. No
Well
vas
then,
a ir a jugar a fútbol.
you're not going to play
no.
soccer.
No vas a ver la tele.
You're not going to
No
watch
vas a
TV.
jugar con la tablet.
You're
no
not going
vas
to
a
play with your
jugar
tablet.
a videojuegos.
You're not going to be doing any video games."
Entonces, Quique le dice, Carlitos, eso te pasa por mentir, por
Ah.
decir mentiras.
Kike tells him, this is what happens to you for
Y
lying.
Carlitos le dice, bueno,
Carlitos
pero yo,
says,
yo
well,
no he ido a la escuela.
But I haven't
y
gone
tú
to
sí,
school.
tú
And you
sí que has
did.
ido a la
Fool.
escuela. Y Carlitos se vuelve a la cama.
And he
vuelve
goes
a dormir.
back to
Sí.
bed.
¿Y
He goes to
vosotros?
Okay, so that is the little walkthrough. When you get your new video for the coming week, I am going to give you a little short vocabulary verb list because and the new video with Carlitos, I will want you to be listening for these present progressives. I do want you to continue to listen for that because you'll hear a lot of examples with those. So I will want you to notice the ing verbs, the things that are happening as they're speaking. We'll touch just a little bit more on that today. And also I want you to notice a lot of verbs are going to be 2-word combinations of se and a verb. Se and a verb. And you may think, why do we have this word se coming in there? And I'll give you a little abbreviated definition. So with this new Carlitos video, you're going to get a little list of phrases where I tell you, here's what this phrase means, so that when you hear it, you'll be a little better prepared. For se, when it's put in front of a verb, changes the meaning of a plain old verb into a variety of different things. It might mean many different things. So that is why I'm going to give you a little list to help make that a little bit easier to understand. Okay, but when you watch the new Carlitos video for homework, do turn on the CC box. And do know that sometimes there will be about 10%. There'll be some funny thing that the AI in YouTube didn't really quite translate right, but most of the time it's right. Okay. Vale, fantástico. There is one extra thing I'm going to tell you about presente progresivo. One last bit, because you may hear some of this going on. And remember, the presente progresivo means we're using estar generally. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. And that's the only part that gets conjugated with an ando or a yendo kind of verb. And in Spanish, unlike English, this present progressive really means that the action is happening as we are speaking. It is happening in real time, if you will. So most of these wind up looking or sounding like this. Estoy tomando, estamos abordando, we are boarding, está vendiendo, he is selling, está lloviendo, it is raining, and the part that conjugates is estar. Okay, the yendo and the ando don't change into different forms, only estar does. Okay, here is one thing you should know about. Oh. Some verbs other than estar can also be used in this kind of structure. And it's still a progressive structure, but sometimes we can substitute a different verb other than estar, but not just any old verb. It'll generally be one of these three, but it could be, well, one doesn't come to mind. It could be yet another one, but these are probably the other most commonly used ones. Instead of estar, you might have ir being combined with ando, yendo. You might have seguir being combined with ando, yendo. You might have venir being combined with ando, yendo. And again, the only thing that will be conjugated, just like estar was, is either ir or seguir or venir. And notice, I want you to notice that ir, to go, seguir, to continue or follow along, and venir, to come to a place. Those are all definitely what we would consider verbs of motion. So sometimes people may, instead of estar, use one of these three verbs, and it gives a more fluid kind of feel to the idea that it's expressed. So here are some examples. Ir with an ando or yendo could become something like vamos caminando. And it does mean we are walking, but vamos, we're going along walking. It gives it more of a moving, rolling feel to that idea. And yes, we are walking, but we're going along walking. Or you might hear something like seguir with hablando, seguimos hablando. And seguir with a verb definitely has the idea of, in English, when we say keep on, because seguir means to continue. So seguimos hablando, literally, we continue talking. But in English, we would be more likely to express that idea by saying we keep on talking. Seguimos trabajando, we keep on working. Seguimos durmiendo, we keep on sleeping. Okay? Or somebody may choose to use a verb like venir. Ellos vienen corriendo. They are coming running. They are running, but it gives you the idea of they are running, but that the motion is coming, right? Actually, I'm going to give you another one. Salir. Salir is often used in this way too. This just came to mind. This is a great one. To go out. That's the definition of salir. So you could say los niños salen corriendo del cole. The kids leave school on the run, running. And just kind of like venir, I'm going to try to fix the spacing on this a little bit later. Just like vienen gives you this idea of they are running means, coming this way. Using salir with salen corriendo would be they're going that there. It gives you direction, doesn't it? Right? Venir gives a direction of this way. Salir gives a direction of that away. Okay. So there are some verbs, and they always wind up being verbs of motion that wind up changing or, kind of giving you a visual cue for a visual cue for what direction that action is happening in. So be aware, instead of estar with an ando or a yendo, you may have ir, you may have seguir, you may have venir, you may have salir, and they give you like a directional or a very fluid or very flowing kind of idea to those ing words. Bien? Okay.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised or confused. It's just actually a little more specific in the way it uses that. And, I think there's one example in the homework video. Creo, see? Did we play, and perdón, disculpen, forgive me. I had a couple of sessions the week before where people were using this. Did we play the little video on when we do not use ando, when we do not use yendo? I think we did not. I think I played that for a different group, but I just wanted to confirm. So this is like our little disclaimer, because it's an important one, and you're going to do a little exercise with it in a little bit. So you will be using this very, very actively in about 5 minutes. But do not distress. Oh my gosh, she's going to show us something and we're going to be doing in 5 minutes. It is super easy to do. Sometimes the way we use ing in English does not correspond to ando yendo. Okay. Sometimes it does not. And we're going to watch a little 3-minute thingy that will show you when it does not. When the English idea of ing does not use ando or yendo. So in other words, it will not use what we call the gerund. Okay. A ver.
Today we're discussing gerundios in Spanish, which are words
And gerundios is just ing.
like speaking, hablando, eating, comiendo, living, viviendo. Now in English we use these words much more than in Spanish. And just this morning, as I was preparing to record this video, a student wrote to me and asked, ¿Cuál es tu favorito? ¿Haciendo videos o escribiendo artículos?
And this is, it would sound really weird if you said this to someone. This is an incorrect use he is showing of haciendo and escribiendo. We cannot use ing in Spanish this way. So he's going to show you why not.
So we need to avoid gerundios in questions like this, and I'll explain why. There are two scenarios where we use these words in English, but not in Spanish. And in both scenarios, we just use the infinitive in Spanish. Now, the first scenario is after a preposition. So this is any word like en, por, con, de, sobre, antes, etc. So for example, thanks for being here. Gracias por estar aquí. Gracias por estar aquí.
Gracias por estar aquí.
I went overseas after finishing college. Me fui al extranjero después de terminar la universidad. Me fui al extranjero después de terminar la universidad. And
So, and actually, I'm going to skip this example because it's really kind of esoteric and you're not likely to use it. But gracias por estar aquí. Thanks for being here is actually not yeah, people say that. Anytime, guys, we use a verb form, if it follows a preposition, if it is the word, if the verb form is right after one of these words you see on the screen on this list, words like this are prepositions. The verb form that immediately follows a preposition, if they're paired up, it has to be an infinitive. That's just like 100% rule in Spanish. So a verb form after en, after por, after con, after de, after sobre, after antes, okay? If the verb form follows any one of those words, it has to be an infinitive. It can't be an ing word. That's just a given. That is something that you have to do. All right, and now he's going to give us the kicker.
use gerunds as nouns. So in sentences,
If you use a gerund as a noun, in English, we can do that. We can use ing in English as a noun. Okay. Sweating is gross. Right? Oh, feeding the dogs. Feeding the dogs is necessary every morning. Walking the dogs is necessary every morning. And when we do that, walking the dogs, you're not telling who's doing it. You're talking about walking as the activity. Yeah. Sweating as the activity. Drinking water, right? The most important thing is drinking lots of water. The most important thing is drinking lots of water. You're not telling who's drinking. It's the action of drinking is a noun. That ing, that gerund, we can use ing as a noun. In Spanish, you cannot do that. He's going to show you what happens instead. And it's a super easy rule. And it's 100%.
sentences like learning is fun. This in Spanish would be aprender es divertido. Aprender es divertido.
Learning is fun. You have to use the infinitive to say that in Spanish.
I like studying Spanish. Me gusta estudiar español. Me gusta estudiar español. My worst habit is eating before going to bed. Mi peor hábito es comer antes de acostarme. Mi peor hábito es comer antes de acostarme.
So you could not say comiendo in that way. It has to be comer, because we're using it as the idea of we're talking about that activity, not really strictly who is doing it.
Okay, let's practice this together. He talks about cooking every day. How do we say this in Spanish? Él habla de cocinar todos los días. Él habla de cocinar todos los días. Sleeping in a hotel is not the same as sleeping at home. How do we say this in Spanish? Dormir en un hotel no es lo mismo que dormir en casa.
And notice here, we're not saying they are sleeping or we are sleeping or when I am sleeping. We're not mentioning a person. We're saying sleeping. We're using the ing as a noun. So in Spanish, the way we do that is not to use ing. So this is a cautionary tale when not to use ing. Dormir en un hotel no es lo mismo, is not the same, no es lo mismo que dormir en casa. And you'll be doing this
en un
soon.
hotel no es lo mismo que dormir en casa. And the question the student wrote to me this morning, what do you like more, making videos or writing articles? How do we say this in Spanish? ¿Qué te gusta más, hacer videos o escribir artículos.
So not haciendo videos, o not escribiendo artículos, ¿ok? Bien.
¿Qué te gusta más, hacer videos o escribir artículos? Okay, bonus tip. Another question that I've received several times on this topic is, can we put el before an infinitive? So for example, traveling alone is not easy. Viajar solo no es fácil.
Oh, and I'm going to stop it here because, okay. Viajar solo no es fácil. Traveling alone is not easy. You may hear people express this instead of viajar solo as el viajar solo. You may hear people use el in front of it. I personally don't do that much, but you kind of have an option in Spanish. You can express this idea as just viajar solo, traveling alone, or el viajar solo. You can use el in front of it, but you don't have to. Okay, vale. So to that end, you're going to get to practice this a little bit, un poquito. Van a practicar un poquito con cosas muy, muy, muy fáciles. You're going to do this very, very easily. This no es difícil. This is not hard. I'm going to give you the items you're going to go into breakout rooms and practice with. And we'll take a quick look at okay, we're going to take a quick look at what you're going to do before I send you out to do it. That would be great. You know, and this is going to be like a little 5-minute thing. This is a shorty. Cuando no se usa el gerundio en español, when you don't use the ing in Spanish. This is when we don't use the ing, okay? So I'm going to have you go into small groups and see if you can say these ideas in Spanish. Working in the garden is fun. ¿Cómo se dice? Sí, I like seeing movies in the theater. ¿Cómo se dice? Exercising. And, you know what? I'm going to give a little disclaimer here. Exercising is hacer ejercicio. You need 2 words to say that in Spanish. And I gave you the word for outdoors as well. Exercising outdoors is better in the winter. Living in the US, Costa, how did that happen? Costs a lot. That was a fat finger mistake. Living in the US costs a lot. And my goal, and I give you the word goal, this is not like a goal that you score in soccer. This is a special word, meta. It is not the Facebook rename. It is meta. My goal is understanding more languages. So all of these ing words are operating as nouns. Nouns. Notice we don't tell who is doing it. These are nouns. So I'm going to send you off into small groups. When you get into your small groups, you will see this list. So you don't need to scribble this down furiously. ¿Está bien? Good?
Sí.
5 minutos nada más, just 5 minutes for this. Uy, ¿cuántos somos aquí? Ay, quizás grupos de 4. Okay, yeah, you'll be in groups with 2 or 3 folks, and we're just going to give you a few minutes. ¿Sí? ¿Bien? ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question before you go off or no?
These are gerunds, you say?
These are not going to be the gerund. I mean, English, we use the gerund, but you're going to use the infinitive.
Infinitive.
For all of these. These are going to be not the ando yendo. They're going to be the plain old infinitive. And once you hit your join button, you'll see the list. Y vamos a ver, we're going to see si todos pueden usar solamente el infinitivo. If people can avoid that ando, yendo, and just use the infinitive. Bueno, nos quedan 3 minutos. We've got about 3 minutes left. And dígame, tell me your question.
Well,
We don't have
yeah,
anything.
You don't
we don't have
any-
anything in front of us to do.
Wow, momento. Okay. Let me go back. I'll leave.
I sent a chat, but I guess it just went to user. I don't know if it got to you. It didn't say Maryland.
Okay. Okay, did it come on for you later?
Yeah, finally,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, not finally, but
Perdón,
it did.
I'm sorry.
It was-
We
We tried and did some.
yeah, I'm sorry. We had a.
It happens.
In all likelihood, it's something that I did wrong, but there are a couple of share buttons, so it's possible that I messed up on that, or it's possible that Zoom messed up on that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Es difícil decir. It is hard to say. I am sorry if you guys had a fail with the share screen there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what went wrong, but we'll take a look at this. We will take a look at this. Okay. A ver. Okay. Pueden ver. You guys can see now, right?
Yes.
Pueden ver. Okay. Fantástico. And you would think that you should be able to say trabajando, but you cannot here because we're using this as a noun, right? Working as a noun. Not she is
Marilyn,
working or I
Marilyn.
am working. ¿Cómo se dice?
Trabajar.
En el jardín es
Trabajar en el
divertido.
jardín
Es
es divertido.
divertido.
Bien, bien, bien. Fantástico. Sí. Bien. Excelente. I need to make my font just a
Oh,
little
so
bit.
you don't conjugate it. I thought I was trying to conjugate.
Yeah, we don't.
No,
We don't
no.
in this situation. When we
Yeah.
use the ing, the gerund, as a noun, we're talking about this as an activity, but we're not really telling who is doing it in that specific phrase. Then we cannot use ando yendo. We have to go back to the infinitive. So working in the garden, it becomes
Work.
trabajar en el jardín, right?
Marilyn, I mean, if this helps anyone else, great, but I was, when you were explaining that, I was thinking that the other way you could say this in English is to work in the garden, and to work is the infinitive right there. So
Yes.
all of these would be, I like to see movies, to exercise outdoors.
There.
Yeah. Okay. So in English, we might say this next idea in number 2, número 2. We may express it as I like to see, right? There are a couple of
There.
ways we might say this in English. I like to see, but you might express that idea as I like seeing movies in the theater. So in English, we kind of might do a flippy floppy, but in Spanish, we can only really translate this idea of seeing in one way. ¿Cómo se dice? How do we say this?
Yo gusta ver.
Ver.
Una
Ver.
película.
Películas.
Me gusta ver
Una
Películas
película.
en
el teatro.
and here probably won't be teatro. En el
Cine.
cine.
Okay,
Hay
okay.
una palabra especial en el cine. Think cinema, right? Teatro is theater, but teatro is used for live theater generally,
Yeah,
whereas
yeah.
cine is used for movie theater. Okay, bien.
Marilyn?
Sí.
Marilyn, ver, mirar, what is the difference? Could you use mirar?
You could use mirar. I think most people use ver.
Is there a difference really between them?
Un poco, a little bit. But I would say, and I will say this, there are sometimes regional preferences. Some region people might prefer to say mirar, but in this case, I usually use ver. Yeah, usually ver.
And I thought that películas should have las películas. I thought you told us to use lots of articles.
Las películas is fine. Las películas en el cine, sí.
Okay.
Sí, en general, sí. Está bien. That's fine. Okay. Bye.
But not necessary.
Yeah, you could skip it, but it's fine. Las películas, sí. Movies in general. Yeah, las películas. Okay. Exercising outdoors is better in the winter.
Hacer ejercicio.
Hacer ejercicio
You have it there.
Al
al aire libre
Aire libre.
Es mejor.
es mejor en el invierno.
Okay. Yeah.
Sí, exercising. And we just need a group of words with that.
Hacer
Ejercicio al aire libre es mejor en el invierno. Aquí en Arizona, sí. En Illinois, no. En Minnesota, no, pero aquí sí. Hacer ejercicio al aire libre es mejor en el invierno.
Arizona.
En Arizona, en el invierno en Arizona. Exacto, sí. Así es, así es. Bueno, fantástico. Bien, wow, living in the US costs a lot.
Ver en los Estados Unidos cuesta mucho.
Cuesta mucho. A lot becomes just mucho. Living is okay in English, but we're using it as a noun, so it becomes vivir. Vivir en Estados Unidos, you can also say los Estados Unidos, igual, it's the same. Vivir en Estados Unidos cuesta mucho, ¿bien? Okay.
Cuesta mucho.
Exacto. Bueno, vamos a ver.
Marilyn?
Sí.
On number 3, you could use afuera also, couldn't you? I mean, it means
outdoors? Sí, afuera, you could.
Okay.
Sí, afuera. Afuera means outside. Sí.
Okay. Right.
Sí. Exacto. Muy bien. Okay. My goal is understanding more languages.
Mi meta es entender más idiomas.
Mi meta es entender más idiomas. You may use that as más lenguas. There are two words for languages and they are interchangeable. Más idiomas, más lenguas. Idioma igual a lengua. Idioma means the same thing as lengua. You can use them interchangeably. Mi meta es entender más idiomas. Mi meta es entender más lenguas. Instead of entender, you could theoretically also use comprender.
Comprender.
Entender, I feel, is just a little more common than comprender, but you can use either one. That is also equally good to go.
So just a quick question. So when you say I don't understand, would you say entender or comprendo? No comprendo.
If you want to say
I don't understand.
No comprendo. Now you're putting a person.
Okay, so then it would be okay.
Now you're attaching it to what somebody does. Sí, no comprendo. No comprendo.
No comprendo.
Pero comprender alemán es difícil. Understanding German is difficult. Comprender chino es difícil. Understanding Chinese is difficult, right? But when I pair it up with a person doing it, it's got to go in a conjugation. Exacto. Muy bien. Okay. ¿Más preguntas o no?
Would you just review on number 4 where it had the mucho? And was it muchos at the end or mucho? And how do we know, does mucho always go with a verb or is it sometimes mucho?
Mucho, okay. Costs a lot is just mucho, a lot. Costs a lot. We're telling how much it costs. So a lot is talking about the verb cuesta. When we pair up a lot with a verb, it's always mucho.
That's what
It
I
never
thought.
goes
I
in a
wasn't-
different form. So, okay. Entonces, por ejemplo, monto en bicicleta mucho. I ride a bike a lot. Cocino
And how about
mucho.
The skirt costs a lot. That's feminine, but it's still cuesta mucho.
Cuesta mucho. It costs a lot.
Uh,
What we're really saying with a lot is what it costs.
Okay.
Cuesta mucho.
Hello,
Okay.
Ryan. Can you hold
So the
on one
mucho is
second?
really modifying
Oh,
or
hold on, Janet.
talking about the activity.
Okay.
Then it's mucho. Mucho changes to mucha or muchos or mucha or muchas. It changes when we are using it to talk about a thing. So
If
I
I
know
have
when you
many
say the
skirts.
skirt costs a lot, but you're talking about the cost there. When I say, if I say a lot of cars are expensive, now I'm saying a lot of cars.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm not saying cars cost a lot. Okay, la diferencia. Here's the difference. Los carros, cars in general. Los carros cuestan mucho. Los carros cuestan mucho. ¿Sí? El oro, gold. El oro cuesta mucho. Sí, las casas, houses. Las casas cuestan mucho. Houses cost a lot. But if I want to say lots of houses are on this block, now I'm saying lots of houses. And the word lots of is talking about houses. Muchas casas, it has to now talk about the noun in its gender and number. Muchas casas están en esta cuadra. Lots of houses are on this block. O, por ejemplo, hay muchos perros en la calle. Hay muchos perros en la calle. There are lots of dogs out on the street. See? Hay muchas bicicletas aquí. There are lots of bikes here. Hay muchas bicicletas, right? So when a lot is talking about a thing, when it's modifying a noun, it goes into the gender of that noun that it's talking about. But when they say cost a lot, works a lot, when mucho works with a verb, it goes into a very generic, just mucho. Always mucho. Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Es buena pregunta. That's a good question, because mucho may talk about a verb, an action, in which case it stays only mucho. And you'll notice adverbs don't go into like a special form. Somebody feels well, está bien, right? Está mal. Adverbs don't change forms the way that adjectives do. Words that describe an activity do not change form because verbs in Spanish don't have gender. Verbs don't have gender. Yeah. Nouns, things, and people have gender. Buena pregunta. Good question. Okay. We're going to send you for otra pregunta. Any other question before I leave that? We took a little more time with that, but that's okay. You'll actually get to ponder something. Okay, bien. Van a ver, you're going to see now a set of items. Uy, momentito. ¿Qué tienen en común? Instead of just saying which one is different, we're going to talk about what I want you to do and go into your little groups and talk about is what do they have in common? What do they share that's alike? ¿Qué tienen en común? What do they have in common? And you don't have to use that phrase in your sentence, in your descriptions. Just express that with whatever words you can use. What do they have in common? Y cómo son distintos? And how are they different? How are they different? You're going to have 3 groups of things. And I would like to make this stand out a little bit better. I think that's hard. To read. Ooh, no? Or is it baldosas? Maybe that makes it a little bit easier. Okay. Floor tile. En la línea A, we've got floor tile, las baldosas del suelo. This is not the tiles on your house, okay? They're not, yeah, these are floor tiles. Wooden floors and carpeting. Okay. En la línea B, you've got el naranjo, an orange tree, not the fruit. The orange tree. El naranjo, an orange tree. La palmera, a palm tree. El roble, an oak tree.
Oh.
And I gave you a little so that you know what kind of tree it is. El roble. Okay. Oak tree. And then we got línea C. El cocodrilo or el caimán, whether you're talking about an alligator or a crocodile, you know, I don't care which word you use. Cocodrilo, el caimán, yeah, that kind of animal, yeah. Even though I know they're different species. El oso polar. El correcaminos, and that does end in an S, and it's supposed to. He's a road runner. El correcaminos, road runner. Okay, so I want you to talk about how they're alike and how they're different. And I promise we'll make the pictures go into the rooms with you. Okay, está bien? Okay, and it's free for all. It's open. You can use anything to say what they have in common and how they are different. Okay, and I'll see if I can get my share together here. Okay. A ver. Share screen. Boom. Okay. Let's hope I got my buttons right. Okay, you saw the pictures this time.
Yes.
Ah, bien. Elegí el botón correcto. I hit the right button. Yay. Okay. There are so many series of buttons. I am
Yeah.
button challenged.
I get that way.
Okay. A ver, we'll have everybody coming in here pretty soon because kind of gives you some leeway for coming back in. Okay. A ver, aquí vienen. Here comes everybody. Bien, excelente. Bueno, quiero que ustedes compartan sus ideas. I want you guys to share some of your ideas. And when I put my share button on, I cannot see you guys. So if you're putting your hand up furiously, I'm not ignoring you. I just can't see you. Okay. Alguien, dime por favor, ideas de la línea A. Any ideas on A? What ideas?
La alfombra es muy suave.
Es muy suave, la alfombra es muy suave. Sí. ¿Qué más?
El suelo de madera es madera. Otras no madera.
Ok. El suelo de madera es muy común.
Oh, natural.
Es natural, es materia natural. Es común en the Midwest, sí, en estados como Wisconsin y Iowa y Michigan. Sí, es común tener el suelo de madera, ¿verdad? Sí. Bueno, ¿qué más?
Todos están en la casa.
Bien, ok. Es más común tener baldosas en el baño que la alfombra en el baño, ¿verdad?
Bueno,
Sí.
Puedo usar un Swiffer en las baldosas de suela.
Eso. Es más fácil. Es más fácil limpiar las baldosas que la alfombra.
Sí.
Exacto, sí, sí, es más difícil limpiar la alfombra. Hay que pasar la aspiradora. Sí, bien. Bueno, ¿qué más de A? ¿Hay más ideas de la línea A?
Las baldosas son frío, más frío.
Here.
Okay.
They're colder, yeah.
Ok. Pasamos a B, la línea B. ¿Qué piensan ustedes? What do you guys think about with that? ¿En qué piensan? El naranjo, la palmera, el roble.
Yeah.
¿Qué
El
tienen en
roble.
común? What do they have in common? ¿Cómo son distintos?
Árboles.
Son árboles, son árboles.
They're called trees.
Todos son árboles. All of
Todos
them.
are
All of them
trees.
are trees. Sí,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
¿Tenemos muchos robles aquí en Arizona?
No,
No.
¿En
no
Phoenix?
muchos.
No.
No.
En Phoenix el
No.
roble no es muy común, ¿verdad?
No.
En
¿El
el norte,
Yeah.
en el norte el
El
roble
norte.
es muy común, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Norte.
Yeah.
En el sur no tanto.
No.
Okay.
El árbol, el de naranjo, es más pequeño que los demás.
En esta foto, sí, en esta foto, el naranjo, tiene fruta.
Fruta.
Sí.
Tiene fruta.
Sí.
Es fruta, nuts.
No, fruit.
Fruta, no, fruit.
Yes, sí, but I was looking it up and
How do you say
Nueces,
nuts?
nuts,
Yeah.
nueces.
Nueces.
oh yeah, okay, I saw that word too, but okay.
Acorns.
Sí.
Nueces.
El roble tiene nueces, ¿verdad? Sí,
Sí. No, nueces.
Nueces.
sí. Pero el naranjo
Nueces.
no tiene nueces, sí. Sí, bien. Ok. Vale. ¿Hay más de B o no? ¿O pasamos a C?
Pasamos.
Pasamos a C. Ok. ¿Qué pueden decir ustedes sobre el cocodrilo o el caimán, el oso polar y el correcaminos?
I like that.
Yeah, I do that word, but I gotta practice it.
El oso polar vive en frío.
Vive donde hace frío. Vive
¿Dónde?
donde hace frío. En lugares con un clima frío. Porque es el clima. El oso polar vive en lugares con un clima frío. Exacto.
El correcaminos tiene las plumas.
Bien.
El
Bien.
crocodilo y el oso polar son más peligrosos.
Son más que el correcamino. Sí, el cocodrilo o el caimán y el oso polar son más peligrosos que el correcaminos. Pero el correcaminos sí es agresivo.
No, agresivo. No.
Sí, es un animal agresivo. Bien, agresivo.
Mucho
Yes.
agresivo.
Es muy agresivo.
Muy.
El correcaminos es más pequeño, pero es muy feroz. Es muy agresivo. Los tres son animales agresivos. Lo que tienen en común son animales agresivos, son animales feroces, pero de tamaños diferentes, different sizes, ¿sí? Y viven en otros, sí. El correcaminos no vive en el agua. No vive en el agua.
No.
El oso polar, a veces. El cocodrilo, con frecuencia está en el agua, ¿verdad? Pero el correcaminos no. ¿Ok? ¿Bien? Bien, exacto. Okay. I will send you that whole set of slides. The very last slide is going to have a set of questions that I want you to think about. We were going to do this live today, but we kind of ran out of time. And actually, it might be something that you will feel more comfortable when you have time to plan. So you're going to have one planned item to come in and talk about where I don't spring a photo on you at the last minute. Here is, and sometimes we need to talk spontaneously. Here is the question I want you to ponder for the week. Tus estrategias, your strategies. Tus estrategias para evitar el mal tiempo del verano. And of course, here I'm talking about el suroeste, the southwest. So those of you who are already in nicer places during the summer, well, good for you. And you know, mal tiempo, if you're up in Minnesota, might mean tornado. I don't know. Mal tiempo, bad weather. Here we're talking about the heat, right? El mal tiempo, and I'll put in here el calor. But you know, that might mean something other than calor for those of you who are not in Arizona with us here. ¿Qué vas a hacer? And I want you to use the future. And the future will just use the construction of vas a hacer. And when you turn it into talking about yourself, it'll turn from vas a hacer, what are you going to do, into voy a. Voy a and a new verb. Right? You're going to have to take hacer out. I'll put in a little instruction about there. Take out hacer and you got to plug in a new and different verb. Because when you say in English, what are you going to do? You don't answer, I'm going to do. I'm going to do dinner. You know, I'm going to cook dinner. I'm going to prepare dinner, right? You plug in a different verb, right? Generally not to do. What are you going to do? So you plug in a new verb, a new and different.
Okay.
See, bien? Okay, so I want you to prep those ideas so you can come back in and have a conversation. And I think we'll do this with everybody in a great big group rather than smaller groups. ¿Qué vas a hacer para superar el calor? What are you going to do to beat the heat? Right? Beat the heat means overcoming the heat. So we won't use the word beat like beat. Yeah. If you look up the word beat, you'll see, you know, batir or pegar, but that's not the same beat. What are you going to do to beat the heat, to avoid the heat in the summer? Okay, bien? Yeah. You're also going to get a new Carlitos video, and you're going to get a set of word groups that will all have a combination of se with a verb, se with a verb, and I'll tell you how se changes the meaning of each of those little phrases in a different way, so that you've got that on hand when you listen. Yeah. Y eso es todo. I think that's it. ¿Sí? Bien?
Gracias.
If you choose to join the Wednesday group, bien. If you choose not to because you feel like it's too hard, I'm not ready for that, that's fine too. See, no pasa nada. Nothing bad happens there. So, excelente. Eso es todo para hoy. That's it for today. Bien.
All right, thank you. Gracias.
Thank you.
Excelente. De nada. Es un placer.
Gracias. Okay.
Vale. Bueno, cuídense. Take care.
Okay.